What if your brain isn't broken? What if it's just been trained to expect a reward every 5 seconds? Doomscrolling, short clips, reaction faces, loud captions, clickbait, random AI slop, a million things all fighting for your attention. So much noise. Whether we realize it or not, most of us probably have at least a mild case of what people online love calling brainrot. And yeah, that phrase gets thrown around a lot. But the feeling behind it is real. You know the feeling. You sit down to watch something, play something, read something, do literally anything. And within like 30 seconds, your brain is already reaching for more stimulation. And there's actually a reason for that. Back in early 2000s, people spent around 2.5 minutes on screen before switching. In more recent years, the average dropped to about 47 seconds. So no, you're not imagining it. Our attention really has been getting chopped into smaller pieces. And in case you somehow dodged the term, Oxford described brain rot as the supposed decline of a person's mental and intellectual state from over-consuming trivial or unchallenging content. Now usually, this is the part where somebody tells you to read a book, go on a jog, drink water, and touch grass. And sure, that probably helps. But I want to offer you a compromise. A version of healing that does not require giving up screens. Play a retro game. A lot of modern content is built around one goal: keeping your attention. Loud hook, fast cut, big reaction, new angle, text on screen, zoom in, zoom out. Something is always happening. And if it isn't, the edit makes sure it feels like it is. Retention is king. And I'm not saying that like some bitter old person yelling from her rocking chair. It works. That's exactly why people make content that way. A lot of online stuff now feels like it's not asking for your attention. It's wrestling you to the ground for it. Retro games feel different. They're not afraid of quiet. A world map in Super Mario Bros. 3. A slow hallway in Resident Evil. A level in Crash Bandicoot where you're just learning the rhythm. A menu screen with music that actually has room to breathe. Retro games didn't constantly beg you to stay. They assumed that if the game was good enough, you would. And honestly, that feels healthy. Because when everything in your life is screaming for attention, something that simply asks for it feels weirdly peaceful. A lot of retro games expect you to pay attention. Not because they're trying to be cruel, because they assume you're capable. They won't always put a giant glowing marker over the exact place you need to go. They won't stop every 5 seconds to explain the obvious. They won't always pause the game to tell you how you feel. Sometimes, the level design teaches you. Sometimes, failure teaches you. Sometimes, you just have to figure it out. And I think that matters, because passive entertainment is everywhere now. Stuff you can absorb while half looking at your phone, half listening, half existing. Retro games usually don't let you do that. You can't half play Sonic the Hedgehog. You can't half play Mega Man. You can't zone out through Ocarina of Time and expect the games to carry you. The game requires something from you. Focus, timing, memory, observation, actual engagement. And that's the exact opposite of brain rot culture. Brain rot says, don't think, just consume. Retro games say, wake up, you're here, now. Retro games also let you fail. A lot. And more importantly, they let failure have weight. You lose a life. You restart the level. You go back farther than you wanted. You mess up, and the game does not immediately shower you with checkpoints every 3 feet. That sounds harsh, but I actually think it's part of the medicine. Because now we live in a world where everything is designed to keep us comfortable enough to keep consuming. Lose interest? Scroll. Get bored? Swipe up. Get frustrated? Open a new tab. Something gets hard? Replace it. Retro games don't let you escape yourself that easily. You hit a wall and you try again. And in the repetition, something kind of beautiful happens. You get better. Not because the game lowered itself to your level, because you rose to meet it. That feeling matters, because the dopamine in retro games is usually earned, not injected into your bloodstream every 4 seconds by editing and constant stimulation. You get tension first, then effort, then progress, then satisfaction. That kind of satisfaction sticks. It doesn't feel like slop. It feels like you actually did something. Retro games were limited. Lower fidelity, fewer buttons, less dialogue, less storage, less realism. But weirdly, that's part of why they feel so alive. Because your brain has to meet them halfway. A few sprites become a world. A low-poly face becomes a character. A text box becomes a mood. Modern games often try to show you everything. Retro games couldn't. So your imagination had to do some of the work. And I don't think that's weakness. I think that's strength. Because imagination is active. It asks something from you. Brainrot is passive. Retro games are interactive. They don't just feed your brain. They invite it in. One of the worst things the internet has done to us is convince us that if something is quiet, it must be bad. If something slows down, it must be boring. If nothing explodes for a minute, we must be losing interest. If we're left alone with our own thoughts, something has gone wrong. Retro games remind you that quiet is not empty. Quiet is atmosphere. Quiet is anticipation. Quiet is build-up. Quiet is space for a moment to matter. Some of my favorite gaming memories are not even the loud parts. They're the in-between parts. The weird hallway, the save room music, the menu music looping while you think. That kind of silence is healthy. It teaches your brain that it does not need to be force-fed stimulation every waking second just to stay engaged. Now, I'm not saying every retro game is perfect. Some of them are clunky, some of them are unfair, some of them aged like milk in a hot car. And don't hear me saying old equals good and new equals bad. That's not the point. The point is, retro games often ask for a kind of attention that modern internet life is actively destroying. So if you want to try this for yourself, start simple. Try Super Mario Bros. If you want pure focus and timing. Try Crash Bandicoot if you want platforming with consequence. Try an old Legend of Zelda if you want exploration and story. And you don't need some expensive setup to do it. Dust off the old console in your uncle's attic. Get an emulator. This website even lets you play right on your browser. Pick a console, pick a game, try it out. There are a lot of ways into retro gaming. But here's the important part. Don't boot one of these games up while also checking your phone. That defeats the whole thing. Give it 20 uninterrupted seconds. Give it 20 uninterrupted minutes. No second screen, no scrolling during load screens, no opening TikTok because you died once. Just you and the game. If that feels weird at first, that's kind of the point. I think the reason retro games matter right now has less to do with nostalgia and more to do with resistance. They resist speed. They resist overconsumption. They resist the idea that everything in your life should be optimized for endless engagement. They remind you that challenge is good, patience is good, focus is good, atmosphere is good, silence is good, earning something is good. And maybe that sounds dramatic, but honestly, I do think a lot of us are tired in a very specific way. Not physically tired, but mentally. Overfed, but undernourished. Always stimulated, rarely satisfied. And retro games weirdly push back against that. Not because they're magical, not because old things are automatically wiser, but because they ask your brain to do things that modern slop doesn't. Pay attention, be patient, try again, sit in the moment. Earn the win! And that leads into something personal for me, because I don't really want to make videos that are just optimized for clicks and money. I don't want to look at an audience and just see numbers on a screen. I get why that stuff matters, I do, but I don't want that to be the whole point. I want to make videos that bring people together. Videos where we can laugh at weird old games, play indie games, appreciate cool stories, talk about what made them special, and just enjoy this medium together. I want this to feel like a community, not a hustle for your views. Because games are more than content. They're stories, they're memories, they're frustration and triumphs, and atmosphere, and music, and discovery. And the older I get, the less interested I am in feeding the machine. And the more interested I am in making something real. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, I've got my Discord linked in the description. Come hang out, come say hi. There are already some really great people there. And maybe, instead of frying our brains with the algorithm for another night, we boot up an old game instead. I think that sounds a lot better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!